Oh. Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Purpose pulls performance. Many of us began to gather for meaningful mornings for performance, to be less challenged by the coronavirus. As we reflected more on our lives, we don't need performance. We need peace. Purpose also pulls peace. If your purpose is relative, your performance will be pulled. If your purpose is absolute, your peace will be pulled. This is the 50th morning that I've shared this in this semester. The 180th time I've shared that in 2021. And the 420th time I've shared that since we've begun gathering. We've been together for 60 weeks, 60. And so we'll begin this morning by feeling grateful for all the generosity that is being shared with us. Who's offering this generosity? Endless entities. Whether Sri Krishna, whether Puja Gurudev, the one who created Zoom. The word for gratitude is dakshina. The word for generosity is dana. Feel this being offered to you. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy in happiness. Our only experience is of dependent joy. A dependent joy is a masking of sorrow. The sorrow is still there. We've only escaped from that, hidden that. Like back in the day, if you had an older car, eventually there was rust on that car, correct? And what do? We paint over it. That rust is still there. We just temporarily don't see it. Whereas we no longer want this dependent joy, we need an independent joy. For an independent joy, a control or uncontrolled environment is not applicable. There is no division, separation. Many of us are focused on Advaita, which means oneness. In a oneness, we see terms like pain and pleasure or bad and good. For our application, it should also be controlled, uncontrolled, independent of that, not applicable. They are content. There is no shoka or sorrow, which also means there's no bhaya or fear, which also means there's no moha or confusion. In verses 64 and 65, we have the Phala Shruti, which is the result, the reward for being free. One who is free. How did they get free? By karma yajna. What did this lead to? Knowing their vastness. So now they're free. 64 and 65. In 66 and 67, the aphala shruti is shared. This is what your experience will be if you're free. This is what your experience will continue to be as one who is not free. And the most recent verse that we studied, Sri Krishna gives the example of, if you don't direct the senses will direct you like a boat. If you direct a boat, it becomes a vehicle. If the boat is directing you, it becomes a weapon against you, against others. We continue to verse 68. Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha indriyanindriyartebhyaha tasya prajna pratishtita. Tasmat. Does anyone remember the last time we saw the word tasmat? These are markers in the train of thought. It was verse 50, where Sri Krishna says, Tasmad yogaya yujjasva. Prince Arjuna, I've shared in detail what karma yajna or karma yoga or buddhi yoga is. Right actions, right attitude. Yogaha karmasu kaushala. One has to feel all of this while they're engaged. When one is not doing anything, when one is not challenging or being challenged, it's easy to have the right attitude. Look at how calm I am, how quiet I am. It is the challenge, it is the adversity in which we still have to abide by the right actions with the right attitude. He shared this in verse 50. In verses 51, 52, 53, Sri Krishna shares in general how someone who lives like this, how they're free. They're free of context. They're free of emotion. Prince Arjuna loves this, which is why his question came in about the specifics of one who is free in verse 54. And here, Sri Krishna is calling Prince Arjuna Mahabaho. Freedom is not external. Freedom is internal. You have lived your life, Mahabaho, as one who is free externally. Your arms are strong. Your weapons are strong. But what I've just described to you, Prince Arjuna, this is the real Mahabaho. This is the real strength to fight one's anti-freedom, ignorance and desire, and being a workaholic. Next quarter, Nigrihitani sarvashaha. One who is disciplined, directed in all ways. Nigrihitani means restrained or controlled. Sarvashaha, completely. This verse is almost a mirror verse of verse 58. When you review your notes, you'll see that the second line is the same as verse 58. And so what Sri Krishna is sharing here is this completes a train of thought from verse 58 to 68, emphasizing the need for discipline. Other commentaries have shared this is actually the completing thought for the whole Sthita Prajna Lakshanas, which is verse 55 to 68. So there's a micro conclusion, there's a macro conclusion. The important point is nigraha, which means discipline or direction, brings about anugraha. Please try to remember these similar sounding words. Nigraha means discipline. Anugraha means grace, or for the sake of alliteration, delight. Discipline brings delight. That's why the word prasad is used, correct? This delight doesn't come from a pleasant temperature or a fresh smoothie that's being made right now. This is from one's own being. Indriyani indriyartebhyaha. The sense organs have the right relationship with the sense objects. The right relationship. The word right is synonymous with dharma. Right actions, right attitude, right relationships. This is jagat. Jagat means creation. Whenever there's a wrong relationship, wrong actions, wrong attitude, this becomes samsara, which means drowning. So ask yourself, is this creation for you, or are you drowning? It has nothing to do with context. I keep hammering that. Not applicable in terms of controlled and uncontrolled. It is all our knowledge and vision and attitude. How to have this right relationship. Pleasure is pain, first sutra. Peace is perpetual, second sutra. Engage the mind, third sutra. Offer the mind, fourth sutra. Sleep before sleepy. I don't know how much more practical or specific I can be. That was 5. And 6, wake before worldly. If you can wake before worldly, like we're doing, I feel the rest of the sutras will naturally manifest. And this idea of waking and sleeping is coming tomorrow in an amazing verse. Tasya prajna pratishtita, such a personality, their prajna, senses, body, mind, intellect, all of it is solid. Pratishtita, it's standing. It is under their direction. Who are they? Number 1, they're content. Number 2, they're balanced. Number 3, they're independent. Number 4, fearless. 5, accepting. 6, disciplined. 7, aware. And the next Lakshana will come tomorrow. I'll share it with you in advance. They are reflective. They never allow an experience to come into their life without learning from it, without growing from it. And that's why a reflective person has no regrets. If there's a regret, I haven't learned from it. To application. Your application from Friday was to be ready for today. As discipline is completed, as these Sthita Prajna Lakshanas are completed, were you ready? Did you tune into all that I shared today? This is where people sign off. When it comes to application, not applicable for us. We're only interested in the inspiration. I'm teaching grade 6s from 11 to 1, and I've been sharing with them every day. The more you are a friend to oneself, the more you can be a friend to others. Because in grade 6, so much of their life is about friends. I'm teaching high school students from 2 to 4. The more you manage oneself, the more you can manage others. They're getting involved in volunteering in teams. And I'm sharing the same with all of us. The more we invest in these equipments, the more we can use these equipments to be an ambassador for the divine, rather than a leak, a drain on the divine. Meaningful Mornings, this workshop, our community, is pure investment. Your application for this morning. We've been focusing on the signs of the content for 20 days now. We started on June 30th. I want you to share on the Chinmay Mission Niagara website, what has blown your mind over the last 20 days from Bhagavad Gita? Not that you went to see a movie recently or you had the best cheesecake. From Bhagavad Gita, what has blown your mind? I'm using this in a casual way, but blowing your mind really means your mind has become quiet, transcended. What has caused that? What does it feel like? Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.